Sports on 6, the 402 Tip-Off.
Welcome into 402 Tip-Off. Clayton Collier, Mason Kern here with you. Mason, we've got an exciting weekend ahead on a lot of fronts. We got the Super Bowl. We have the Olympics starting today, but we have got plenty of college basketball to get to. That starts with Nebraska men's basketball. They're playing Rutgers tomorrow at 11 a.m. on the road. They're trying to get right after two losses against two high-level opponents, but neither of those games were they really at full strength. Yes, they did have Rink Mast back. They had Braden Frager back for the Illinois game. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But Rink, you only kind of sort of had all the way. He wasn't 100% coming off of the flu, dealing with that.
In a hospital visit. I mean, you can't expect a guy to just bounce back at full capacity, especially in big boy games. I mean, two top 10 opponents, not a surprise maybe that their first losing streak of the year comes against some really challenging competition, not at full strength.
Yeah, 20-0 start to the year. You knew at some point somebody in the Big Ten was going to get to you. The answer was Michigan without two of your top guys, and Illinois not at full strength with Rink really trying to get his way back. I actually had the pleasure this week of sitting down with head coach Fred Hoiberg. We're going to have that full interview playing after the Super Bowl, but here's a good one. Here's a clip from it where I asked him about the impact of Rink Mast, particularly on this team's three-point shooting that has helped power that 20-0 start and this fantastic season for the Huskers. 2 years ago, you led the Big Ten in three-point makes. Last year, not quite as much. This year, you're among the best in the nation in three-point makes per game. Is that just how much of an impact of that is getting Rink on the floor?
I think Rink is the key to that whole thing. I think Jamarcus's pace has been really good. I think we lead the nation right now in three-pointers in transition. Our throw-aheads have been really good. Price obviously can go off at any time. Braden is really good on the break. Transition threes as well, but I think it all does go to Rink because of his gravity. When you can pull the big guy out of the paint, you know, we really try to have a good shot distribution as far as plays at the rim and try to create as many open threes as we can. And we got a guy that can facilitate and pass. Rink led us in assists a couple of years ago. I think he's second on the team right now, but that just makes it easier. And the cutting that our guys have really done a good job of figuring out this system.
Really great interview, first of all.
Appreciate it. Thank you. I was going to say, just after the Super Bowl at 10 o'clock on First Alert 6, we'll be happy to show you that full interview. A lot of great stuff that we talked about. We talked about what it meant to be, to potentially bring that first NCAA tournament win to a program
on the back
that's never had one in 130 years of Husker men's basketball. You know, what this program means to him, doing it with Sam, a lot of topics that we covered. And so we're excited to bring that to you again at 10 p.m. on First Alert 6 once the Super Bowl is over. But Rink Mast, nonetheless, having a huge impact on a lot of fronts. Right?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it all year, how influential he's been, and then today he's added to the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar Center of the Year midseason watch list. So, I mean, he's getting the national recognition for his efforts, too. Really high-level analytical breakdown, obviously, by Fred Hoiberg on his impact on touching every aspect of Nebraska's game, offensively and defensively, and you really see that manifest when he's not 100%, right? Like against Illinois, Fred was saying just how the offense wasn't maybe operating as smoothly. They like to run around, be very free. With Rink in limited minutes, you didn't see as much of that. Now, there was some holding going on. Fred talked about that as well, but just his impact is profound.
Well, and you saw down the stretch last year, there was the issue of where's the three-point shooting?
Right.
And when you don't have a guy like that that's going to pull that gravity, that can, stretch out and shoot it himself and facilitate just the amount of levels that Rink impacts the game and their ability to be effective three-point shooters, whether it's Keisei Tominaga or whether it's Price Sanford on the perimeter. But now we get to see, after a week of rest, how he's recovered here from the flu, how he comes back. This is a tough road environment in terms of Rutgers, Jersey Mike's Arena, or the RAC, as most people actually know it's called before it got a corporate sponsorship. That's a tough place to play, but this is a Rutgers team that, isn't your Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey squad that you saw last year where you had two of the top 5 draft picks. This team has struggled so far, 9-14 on the year, 2-10 in Big Ten play. So in terms of the competition you're facing, this is a good chance for Nebraska to kind of get themselves right after a week of rest as you head into this final stretch of the Big Ten season.
Yeah, and any front court is going to be, imposing in the Big Ten, but Rutgers without Cliff Omarui anymore. That if Rink is healthy and Berke Buick and Gel obviously give the front court a chance to pick and pop and also spread the floor. You saw Berke hit a three, finally get going a little bit against Illinois. Really need to get the front court to spread the floor a little bit more.
Rutgers' only wins in Big Ten play this year, Oregon and Northwestern. Both of those Nebraska was able to handle.
Right. Down years for both of those programs.
Right. So we'll see about that one at 11 a.m. tomorrow. Excited to see that game as well.
Snap the losing streak.
That's for sure. Creighton men's basketball also with a big game. They play another team from New Jersey out here in Omaha. Seton Hall, 16-7 on the year. Like Creighton, they've had their ups and downs throughout Big East play, 6-6 on the year. Mason, Creighton coming off of an incredibly difficult week.
Right.
Out at Georgetown, the loss there, but the main headline out of that was Josh Dix's mom unfortunately passing away after a long battle with cancer. Josh Dix out with the team at the time and unbelievably still deciding to play. The team arranged a flight home for the guy, and he said, no, I want to be out there. Just unbelievable commitment to the team. But ultimately, most important, everybody thinking about Josh Dix and his family right now.
Oh, definitely. I mean, before the pink out, which obviously you're seeing on the screen now, we talked to Josh, and he kind of just said the team was really doing a great job of rallying around him. And he did acknowledge, a lot of people are going through a lot of different things, and the pink out was really a good time to take all of that in and not have all the focus just be on him and his situation, kind of be an outlet. Him and Blake Harper, he said, have been really close, and Blake touched on that as well. Blake's mom obviously passing from breast cancer in 2023. So some experience, and maybe nice for some shared experiences. Those two guys, Josh can maybe lean on Blake even a little more now that his mom has passed as well.
And Greg McDermott was very emotional talking about it in the post-game radio. He said, that he's not sure he could have done what Josh could have.
I don't know if many could.
I don't know. Yeah, a lot of people that could deal with that and then step out on the floor and play basketball. But he did also bring up the point, Josh transferred in this year. He's a Council Bluffs native, and not being in Iowa City where he was and being in Omaha instead allowed him to have a lot more time with his mom, in these last few months. And so that was a blessing for him to be able to get that time. And, an example there of, where the transfer portal, that's something that was able to help me. It wasn't as easy prior to the portal being as free-flowing. There are unfortunately situations like that have come up where you'd have to get a waiver. There's different elements to it. So one positive when we talk back and forth about the transfer portal, an extremely unfortunate situation that allowed Josh also to be here in this time. But so we don't know. Obviously, he stepped out on the court when he was already with the team in Georgetown and played. We don't know necessarily what Saturday holds, whether Josh is going to be there. Seeing that level of commitment, or whether I don't think anybody in the world would blame him if he needs some time with his family. But nonetheless, Creighton, everybody thinking about him right now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, our thoughts go out to the Dix family. I mean, it's just a truly tragic time. Even when you kind of see the writing on the wall a little bit, it's never, easy. You can never prepare fully for when something like that happens. So, just a tough situation.
It is. Creighton, though, nonetheless playing Seton Hall, 5:00 start tomorrow. As we talked about, a very emotional game, a tough loss for them against Georgetown. Nick Graves was also, not playing much of that second half with what looked like a foot or ankle situation, according to the broadcast. So that's another thing to keep an eye out on. But the last time they played Seton Hall out in New Jersey, Creighton nearly, got a Seton Hall team that was, top 25. This is a dynamic defensive team that is, just makes people suffer, when it comes to, the offensive end. They were right up there with UConn in blocks per game in the conference. I don't know how many steals they have per game, but they had 8 just yesterday against UConn. They had 8 against Creighton in that game out in Newark as well. So it's just a miserable team to go and play against on the defensive end. You just saw it against UConn, that kind of constant defensive presence. They're just relentless. And so Creighton's seen it before. We'll see if, they have them on the home floor. I'm sure they'll be upset, knowing that one got away at the beginning of January, and if they can get it done.
Yeah, and playing for more. Obviously, you didn't get the win at Georgetown, which you wanted to, let alone just for winning purposes, but to win for Josh and his family, playing motivated and motivated by blowing a 16-point lead, against Seton Hall. After that game, they came out and beat their first quad one opponent in Villanova on the road. So we'll see if they can mount a home response against a Seton Hall team that just squeaked by last time.
And the Pirates coming off of a loss to Villanova and former Seton Hall head coach Kevin Willard. He's gotten them both times against his former assistant.
Storylines on storylines.
Yeah, a lot of layers throughout the coach in the Big East this year. I mean, you have the father-son combo with the Patinos.
True.
It's just a very character-driven league when it comes to the
Definitely
coaches
is.
as well. We move on to Omaha men's basketball, coming off of a tough loss out at North Dakota. They continue their swing through the Prairie State, taking on North Dakota State Saturday at 1 o'clock. Mason, Paul Jobe was just named the Summit League Peak Performer of the Week. That is also the Player of the Week. Nice play on words for the conference there.
Love the alliteration, huh?
He's coming off of 2 double-doubles, just fell short of that in the loss, 9 points, 9 boards, 3 of 10 shooting, so not his best day at the office in terms of efficiency. The Fighting Hawks really found a way against him.
Yeah, it was a close game throughout, honestly, and when you lose by 3, you probably look for areas where, if we were just a tad more efficient here, but it obviously doesn't fall on one person. I mean, Tony Osborne went 1 for 6 from 3. That's not necessarily normal for him in terms of efficiency. But then you had some guys, step up when others are down. Grant Stubblefield had 22. He did foul out of this game. So you kind of are looking, Chris Crutchfield, I'm sure, looking for answers as to why they're not pulling some of those games out, but still very competitive in the Summit League this year.
Listen, it's all about seeding, really, for the conference tournament when you're in this league. So, you really, seeding, and then B, you just want to be playing your best basketball for that week up in South Dakota. So that's what the Mavs are working towards, and we'll see if they get there, come March. But it's been up and down. We'll see if, they have a high note here against a quality North Dakota State team.
Right.
We move on to Nebraska women's basketball. They have another top 25 opponent.
They just keep on coming.
Man, the Big Ten is loaded this year on women's basketball. I mean, they always are. But tomorrow, 1 o'clock, they have 22nd ranked Maryland, Nebraska down to 5-7 in conference play. This is a conference that is just will chew you up and spit you out. Nebraska's hanging in there, holding their own. But as you look towards March, trying to build your resume, you really want to try to get some of these top 25 wins to pad as you look towards Selection Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, they went undefeated in non-conference, and look, 6 of their 7 losses this year have come to ranked teams. So obviously you want to get those numbers up and be more competitive in the top 25. I mean, Nebraska was in the top 25 for pretty much the whole season. They were progressively maybe dropping in the rankings and now are unranked. That coming off their only unranked loss came against Wisconsin on the road, so at least it doesn't come at home. But either way, it's been a challenging slate. Now this is their 3rd top 25 game in a row, or game against a top 25 opponent. There's been consistency, I mean, at least from Britt Prince and Jess Petrie, and your players are performing, but in those top 25 games where you're playing adequate or maybe superior competition, you're not closing when it matters, and that's in the 4th quarter.
Well, they're coming off an incredibly tough challenge. Well, a couple of challenges where you had at Ohio State, you had at Michigan. They were at least holding their own for the majority of those games, as you mentioned, not quite finishing them out. But, just to be in there with them has been impressive enough.
And some of these scores are more lopsided, I would say, than the games actually felt, especially Ohio State. I mean, that ended up being 19-point loss, but they were in single digits until about the last 2-3 minutes of that game. So, I mean, obviously for Amy Williams, a loss is a loss, but no matter what the score is, you felt pretty good about how it was going until the very end, and some of these scores are a little more lopsided.
And Michigan, they were leading at halftime as well, and then, the Wolverines just kind of opened up at home. Britt Prince also named to the midseason Nancy Lieberman watch list top 10. She was coming off of a 28-point game and then had 16 points on 6 of 13 shooting, 1 of 3 from the perimeter out in Ann Arbor as well. So we'll see how she can fare back at home here, taking on the Terps. But we move on to Creighton women's basketball, who suddenly won 3 in a row. They're coming off of a big win over Georgetown, and now they have a big-time opponent in Marquette coming into the building. not a lot going on Super Bowl Sunday other than the big game, obviously, but you do have at high noon here at Omaha, DJ Sokol Arena, the Jays take on the Golden Eagles as they look to get to 500 on the year, over 500 in conference play, but the Jays really are starting to really roll here.
Yeah, and a nice birthday present for Grace Buffelli to get their last win against Georgetown on her birthday. Not only that, she hits the game-winning layup to seal the deal there. So pretty cool. Some really big performances in that game. I mean, Neely Gessert went off for 31 points. And according to Glenn Sisk from Creighton, that you have to go all the way back to the 1998-99 season to see a freshman score that many points. It's the third most by a freshman in school history. So pretty impressive. And she's very much trigger happy, like catch and shoot. You saw a lot of that against Georgetown, even in the first quarter when we were there. Her and Allison Heathcock were really kind of going trading blows from the three-point line.
Well, and also I think I saw post-game, she was like, yeah, we didn't really draw it up that way. I just kind of turned around. I didn't really see a whole lot of defenders,
Right.
So I was just going
Gotta let
for
it fly.
So, yeah, there you go.
Always
Exactly.
really cool, too, when Nora and Neely get in the game together and seeing them assist each other. It's just like Millard West all over again.
It is, the twin telepathy. That's not to keep plugging the Fred
Right.
Hoiberg interview, but that was another thing that I talked about with him was Sam and Charlie. Charlie's there as a grad assistant. He said, yeah, it's been popping up a bit. He gave some examples as well, but here as you see Creighton women's basketball in that game against Georgetown we were just talking about, they had the fight there. They got the big lead. They kind of allowed them to come back in, which we've seen happen a lot this year, unfortunately, for the Jays, but nonetheless they were able to knock it out here in the second half, get Grace Buffelli with the heroics to win their third.
Yeah, and on both ends of the floor for her, she obviously scores the game-winning bucket on her birthday, but she had 17 rebounds. And Jim Flannery has said, like, she might not be the most physically imposing, front court player, but she knows where to be. She's very savvy. And to get 17 rebounds in the Big East, pretty impressive. It's 10th most in a single game in school history.
So you think 17 rebounds is impressive. How about 20 from Avril Smith? Let's give it up to Omaha women's basketball. It has been a tough year, but nonetheless, take a look at this last night. They get the win, their first in Summit League play this season, the first under new head coach Jamie Carey. Avril Smith, 15 points, 20 boards in the win over the Fighting Hawks.
She's a freshman.
There you go. It has been a tough year for Omaha women's basketball. I mean, we've talked about it at length on this show before, explaining, hey, look, that record doesn't explain what these guys have been through. Jamie coming in only a couple of months before this, the school year begins, only having 3 returners. I don't think any of them are healthy right now.
Right.
And just having to throw a team together and all right, here you go, mid-season tryout. So the fact that they're, starting to put the pieces together, you see performances like that, at the D1 level, I don't care who you're facing. That's impressive, and that's a sign of growth as this team is trying to, create a solid foundation to build upon in the years ahead.
Yeah, and even with the open tryouts, I mean, just because you bring in new players to the roster, it doesn't guarantee they're going to actually play and provide depth. Jamie Carey only played 7 players, in this win. So, the depth is being stretched and girls are playing 30-plus minutes, some, maybe a little less. But to get the performances they did and stay the course, that was the big message that Jamie Carey said on the broadcast after the win. Like, these girls go to war every single practice, every single game, through some really, lopsided, tough results at times. And to see it finally pay off with first Summit League win, first Division I win in the program's history under Jamie Carey, very validating for just where they're trying to go.
48 rebounds in that game.
20 of them for Avril?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Well, that's an effort category, so there you go. So congrats to them. They move on to Saturday. They have a tough challenge ahead.
Right.
The undefeated in conference play, North Dakota State Bison, 21-2 on the year coming into the building. So great challenge ahead, but nonetheless excited for them that they get that first win. And
trap game for North Dakota State. We'll see if
there you go. Maybe the Mavs can pull it out.
That'd be crazy.
Get that second one against a much tougher opponent as well.
Yeah.
But congrats to them. Thank you so much for watching 402 Tip-Off. For Mason Kern, I'm Clayton Collier. Have a good weekend.